There are a few things on the internet that I am a huge fan of or find some interest in. Creepy videos like Blank Room Soup, mysteries like Cicada 3301, things that turned out to be not so mysterious like Web Driver Torso, horror stories like Pen Pal, and of course web series like Gemini Home Entertainment, Local 58, and many, many more. While I have a lot of love and passion in my heart for all of this, there is one thing on the internet that earns a higher spot than all the rest. My absolute, uncontested favorite thing on the internet. It's a web series that began January 17th, 2011. It's about a man recording videos of himself for his doctor, all the while dealing with familial, mental, and supernatural problems. It's called the Andersen Journals, more widely known by the name ML Andersen Zero or the shortened version MLA Zero. Before the Andersen Journals can be properly explained, a little context is needed. The Andersen Journals is a Slenderverse series, using the monster created by Victor Surd in June of 2009. The Slender Man, a classic internet monster, serves as the main antagonist of the series, and the series itself is connected to many others that use or reference the same monster. While I enjoy many of these series, the Andersen Journals is by far my favorite, although The Record of Stan Frederick is a very close second and also very important for me, but that's a video for another day. With a little bit of context of the Slenderverse and Slenderman, let's continue. The Andersen Journals is a web series created by and starring Dylan Sindelar and Austin Harris. It begins by following the story of Michael Andersen, a man who spent the last 16 years of his life institutionalized as he finally returns home with the help of his brother, Sean. Supporting characters include skeptical friend Eric and eventually Michael's friend from the hospital, Stormy. Which, a quick note, I love Stormy with all my heart. Just felt it needed to be said. I don't think her character gets enough appreciation. Now, with a very brief explanation out of the way, it's time for a warning. There are spoilers ahead, very, very big spoilers, and I'm basically about to explain the entire plot to you. So, jump to the timestamp that's displayed on the screen now to skip it, or take the time to go watch the series for yourself. Now that you've been warned, we can continue, but there is a second warning to consider. The Andersen Journals has a lot of depictions of mental health issues, including self-harm and suicidal ideation. So if that is something that you can't handle, please also skip to the timestamp on screen. The Andersen Journals begin simply. A man named Michael creates videos of his life outside the hospital for his doctor, reporting on his thoughts, feelings, and struggles. Things quickly begin to go poorly. He reports strange dreams, begins seeing a tall, faceless monster again, and begins acting not only out of character but suffering from a worsening mental condition. All the while, his brother Sean and Sean's friend Eric are doubtful of Michael's claims of a monster, Eric thinking Michael is outright malicious when Sean goes missing for some time. This comes to a head when Michael attacks Sean and Eric, trapping Sean in the basement and revealing himself to be Patrick, a character who shares Michael's body with him. He then proceeds to threaten to set Eric on fire, coating him with gasoline and menacing him with a lighter before leaving him be, making sure the scenario scared him off from interacting with the Andersens. Patrick then disappears. Sean is then directed to Stormy, a friend of Michael's who knew him in the hospital, with Patrick appearing and telling them to keep away from each other. Later on, Sean is trying to make sense of everything that's happened when Patrick appears again, telling him that they need to fight the Slender Man together. Sean is apprehensive about the idea, seeing Patrick as something hijacking Michael's body. It's then revealed that when Michael was staying with Stormy, things went poorly, with him verbally berating her. It's also mentioned that he physically hurt her, as well as implied to have been Patrick. Patrick then appears to Sean again, apologizing for what he's done and trying to warn him, while also trying to gain some trust. Sean then returns to Stormy, confronting her on not telling him the whole truth before they are attacked by the Slender Man. They then leave together, Sean taking a flash drive from Stormy's house. On the flash drive is footage of Michael alone in the past, a record of what Michael knows. Made up of interspersed clips, it shows us Michael trying to contact his doctor who seemingly doesn't exist, Michael and Sean spending time together, Michael begging Patrick to let him kill himself, Michael self-harming, and Michael explaining what he knows about the clock, the hands, and the concept of the virus. We're then shown in the next video that Sean and Stormy are together, discussing Michael and Patrick and how things are different with him. We also see flashes of someone on the ground in this video, bloody, someone else hovering over them. In the next video, Patrick appears with a grim warning, telling Sean that Stormy is going to die before vanishing when Sean goes inside. It's then that Stormy and Sean are going through the house together, trying to pack things. Later on, Patrick appears to Sean again, warning him of what he's seen and that things aren't safe, leaving with the promise that you will see him soon. This promise is answered when Michael appears, explaining to Sean where he has been and what has been going on. For a little while, everything seems fine for the trio, although Stormy is having grim dreams. Despite this, they continue on as though things are fine until it is far too late. Stormy is killed, leaving the remaining two in turmoil, with Sean demanding to know where the hands are for Michael. The two go on a journey together to search for the hands, hoping that they can use them to fix things with little luck. Both are still upset about Stormy's death, Sean especially, something that only gets worse when they discover her body placed in the trunk of their car. Sean buries her, but keeps her necklaces. Michael is talking about the events that transpired when he touches one of the necklaces, going into some kind of seizure and experiencing some kind of vision, leading him to one of the hands. Michael tries to explain exactly what he saw, and Sean wonders if touching the hand could lead them in the right direction of the other one, but Michael fears it would kill him due to how powerful it is. Angrily, Sean leaves, striking out on his own and making his way to someone who claims they can give him information, when they leave a note in his car. This leads him to Vinny Everman, who speaks vaguely about his inhuman partner and begins to give Sean information, only for it to be revealed to have been a trap all along as Sean is drugged. He wakes up in an attic, Vinny's partner, Habit, lording over him, trying to get information on Michael's location from Sean through psychological attacks, claiming that Michael has been a monster bent only on protecting himself the entire time. Sean does not give up any information, but Habit reveals he already has what he wants before killing Sean. The final video is of Michael seemingly reliving the first video word for word, before he is snapped out of his state and begins to panic, unsure where he is or why, and calling out for Sean. The video and series end with Michael unsure, scared, and alone, his fate uncertain. Well, uncertain unless you watch Stan Frederick, which implies that at that point in 2016, they are still alive. But their fate is currently uncertain past that point in time. Alright, so now if you're here, you either skip because you've already seen it, or you skip because you didn't care or wanted to avoid any of the content warnings. If you're in the case of just not caring, this section's for you. This is no contest my favorite web series of all time. I care immensely about it and carry a lot of passion for it. It's something I make an effort to revisit every year because I care about it a lot. It is a series that was deeply important to me at a time when I desperately needed something that truly spoke to me, and it did speak to me in numerous ways. The mental health struggles, the interpersonal relationships, and so much more of it is something I related to immensely. It is a series that presents you with individuals who feel real, feel as though they have realistic struggles and arguments, and all of it despite the supernatural nature of the series. It is wonderful, and I urge you to give it a chance. It's well worth the watch, even just once. And on that note, I guess I should dive into what it means to me in a bit more detail. I'll warn you, this next part is going to be kind of long, a little bit meandering. It's a chunk of the story of my life, but all of it is important to understand why this series means as much as it does to me. So let's proceed with... Hi. You currently know me as Teleghost. Ghost maybe even Neo, or Cosmic, or some other name I've used over the years to obscure my identity. Those are the names I am to everyone, after all. I'll preface this next part with a warning. Unless you already call me this, or I give you express permission after this is published, please continue to call me whatever you currently call me. This name that I am about to reveal is reserved for friends and close collaborators because it is my real name. The name my friends call me is Patrick, as that's the name I picked back in 2019-2020, but we can't quite start there. We have to start at the beginning, and the beginning takes place in 2012. I was a kid at the time. I remember being in the mall with my family, my older sister and I making a beeline for Hot Topic to pick up whatever Doctor Who merch we could afford. As we walked, she leaned close to me and I listened as she gave me a recommendation. "You should read Homestuck," she said. "There's a character you'd like, she's a Libra like you, and she loves dragons like you do." And that was how I got hooked on Homestuck. Now, I promise that's relevant because Homestuck is what led to me making myself a Tumblr account, which is a big part of the path that got me to this point. The other part of that path was a school friend at the time telling me his favorite creepypastas: Ben Drown, Sonic.exe, and of course, Slenderman. Once more I took to Tumblr, now trawling the creepypasta tags for anything of interest, and that's how I discovered Masky and Hoodie. And from there I found Marble Hornets. I got hooked on that quickly as well, following it closely. I heard about other series at the time but didn't pay them much attention, staying in my world of Homestuck, creepypasta, and Marble Hornets rather than venturing out and discovering more. Time went on, interest shifted, but mostly stayed the same, and before I knew it, I was 14 and in high school. That is, I believe, when I discovered Valeria Santiago. I think, maybe. I know during high school I followed her on Tumblr because she talked about her series with Slenderman, and I was interested in it. I would end up watching it in 2017, sometime during the second season of the reboot. As much as I've said other things have hooked me, nothing hooked me quite like that. I was obsessed. I loved it an incredible amount, and immediately I realized I could do that. I could do that. If I wanted to make something, the world was my oyster, and that was one of the most important, critical epiphanies I ever had. Without the record of Stan Frederick, I wouldn't have taken film classes in high school. Without it, I wouldn't have explored the rest of the Slenderverse. And without it, through the ways the dominoes fell, it would have taken me much longer to finally be able to open myself up and start to go through all the baggage I didn't know I had. Well, it isn't my number one. It didn't get second favorite without a fight, and it's still incredibly, critically important to me, which, as I said before, is a video for another day. To end off on this brief tangent, thank you, Valeria, for not only making the things you make, but for being such a stalwart frontrunner in encouraging other people to make things for themselves. What you do is beyond important, and I'm sure your work means so much to so many people. So I took film classes, and I started making, and I kept watching Stan Frederick. When the teaser for the third season came out, I was over the moon. My favorite YouTube series and my favorite song by my favorite band. It was a fantastic trailer that felt like it was for me specifically, and one I still think about often. I remember gathering a bunch of my friends to crowd around the shitty school computer monitor to watch it with me. There was so much ahead of me to look forward to in 2020. I was in my senior year, I was accepted into my dream program in college, my favorite series was getting another season, and everything was amazing. Until it wasn't. Everyone remembers the whole pandemic thing, kind of hard to miss. I spent the first 6 months of it stuck in a house with my parents and my 3 siblings. I was somewhat delusionally holding on to hope that everything would be alright in time for me to start college in September, which of course didn't happen. I did still move out, upending my entire life to move to a city 2 hours away, but my college was still online, done from the end of my bed on a shitty table. Everything had changed. All my friends were online, all my old real-life friends weren't my friends anymore, and I was transitioning not only from teenager to adult, but also from high school to college, all without any of the typical trappings of what people would go through in those transitions. I was miserable, depressed, anxious. I knew there was something wrong with me, but it was something I couldn't place. And then one of my online friends told me to watch the Andersen journals. So I did. I'm not joking when I say something about it changed my life. The loneliness I was feeling, the anxiety, the fear, the depression, I felt like I had found a character to truly connect to in Michael. Something that represented everything I was feeling in a world I thoroughly enjoyed. Watching the series, connecting to Michael, connecting to the often tenuous sibling relationship shown, connecting to Patrick, connecting to so much of it. And then a light bulb went off in my head. After weeks of thinking, I wish I could look like this guy, after weeks of wondering why there was still a deep, unaddressed ache inside, I figured out there was something I hadn't begun to unpack yet after everything else I had. I wasn't currently who I was meant to be. I had to become a different version of myself. It felt like emerging from a chrysalis. Even if nothing had physically changed, the change in mindset felt like a floodgate opening up. The first step, of course, was a different name. My old one felt wrong in my mouth, and even more so in the mouths of others. I want you guys to start calling me Michael, is what I said to my friends, and what they said to me was, we don't like the name Michael. So I said, fine, Patrick then, to them, and that has been my name for the last 4 or 5 years. It's stuck. It's one that feels right for me. I watch other trans people move between names, but mine feels solid, like it belongs no matter what. All of this is to say that the Andersen Journals has had a massive impact on my life. It was the catalyst for the biggest piece of personal growth I underwent. It was the catalyst for me taking myself as a scared, lonely person and molding myself into the confident, outgoing one I am now. It's a piece of art I hold incredibly close to my heart, not only for this, but also for my love of the world, characters, and story it presents. That isn't entirely clear. While over time interest in continuing it has been expressed, and while there have been several community posts made on the YouTube channel, the true future of the series is unclear, and I think that's okay. As much as I want more with all my heart, if there isn't any more, I'll still be happy with what's there. It'll still be an incredibly meaningful and important piece of art for me. It will still move me no matter what the ending ends up being, so while the future isn't known, I don't think it needs to be. Before I end the video, I want to thank a few people. I want to thank all of my spectacular friends who I love very, very dearly for inspiring me every day to continue creatively, for looking over my script for me, for being around for so long, for initially bonding with me over the Slenderverse and other creepy random crap. I'd like to specifically thank Slug, Meat, Simon, Molar, Carrion, Jay, Tim. All of my friends have been immensely amazing people to be around, and I'm so happy every day that I get to talk to them and interact with them. And I'm sorry if I didn't specifically call your name out. It's hard to remember people's names when I'm trying to go down a list of 24 of them or so. I would like to thank new friends that I've made very recently through creating my own series, as well as just interacting with the community more, such as Rowan, JJ, Ryan, Ted. I'd like to thank, of course, Dylan Sindelar and Austin Harris for creating such a fantastic series. That means so much to me. I genuinely do not know what I would be doing without it, because the things I did related to it, working on forums and wikis and moderating the subreddit and all sorts of stuff, has led me to so many awesome opportunities that I would never have taken in a million years otherwise. And I'd like to thank, of course, Valeria Santiago for creating the Record of Stan Frederick, and for continuing to create and encourage other people to create. Without your work, I don't think I would have realized how capable I was of creating something of my own, and every day I am appreciative of the fact that you helped keep my creative spirit kindled. And again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who I've mentioned in this video, people I haven't mentioned in this video, and thank you to the people watching this video. It means the world to me that you would sit through this and listen to me talk about my favorite thing for 20 minutes. And I hope that whatever my next video is, I see you there.